All right, we're back. Today, let's talk about progress bars. Hello, all my beautiful people of the world. My name is The Creative Rush, and welcome back to the Unity 5 tutorials. It has been such a long time since I've done one of these, and I'm really excited to get back into it. Okay, so before we start, I want to go over all the new stuff I got, all the new ways we're going to be doing this. If you want to just skip ahead to the tutorial, you can fast forward to this time right here. Not sure when that's going to be because I haven't exactly edited the video yet, now have I? But if you want to fast forward right to the tutorial, go over to this time right here. But hey, check it out, we got a new setup and everything for these tutorials. My Let's Plays will be the exact same way they have been, but the tutorials will be a little different. I'm actually standing up now, got my lazy butt out of my chair, got my green screen right behind me, my microphone's up here, got a light shining directly in my eyes right there, and my camcorder right there as you see. Well, you don't see the camcorder because I see the camcorder. I don't think things through very well. But if you could, if it's not too much trouble, leave in the comments down below what you think of the new setup, if you want me to change it, if you like it the way it is. I'm kind of just making this tutorial as sort of a test for the future ones, if you wanted me to keep doing it like I'm doing it here, or if you want me to revert back to the old ways. Back to the olden days. Back to the dark days. Alright, so on with the tutorial. So, progress bars. You know, those things that are kind of just inexplicably in the corner of every game ever. Doesn't matter what they're doing, calculate, how long until your inevitable death, how long until you starve to death, how long until you die of thirst. There's a lot of death involved with these things, my gosh. And in today's tutorial, we're going to be covering all three. But before we do that, let's go over a little bit of how these progress bars are used. The progress bar in most games is up in the corner of the screen, which tells you things like how much health you have left, how hungry you are, and your thirst meter. For things like health, every time you take a hit, that bar deteriorates slowly until you are completely out and you're dead. And with the hunger and thirst bar, they kind of just deteriorate on their own, no need for getting hit for that, and you're dead. Again, a lot of death with these things, kind of dark tutorial. Okay, so here's what's going to happen today in the tutorial. We're going to end up with 3 progress bars, one for health, one for hunger, and one for thirst. We're going to have an object that kind of hurts the player, but we're not actually going to have an enemy at this point. We're kind of just going to go over how to do the collision detection, triggering, and stuff like that. We're also going to have food and water that the player can pick up to restore their hunger and thirst meters. So here's what your project should look like after you finish the tutorial. Remember, there's a lot of variables involved. This is just what mine looks like, but you can add any textures to the UI, any type of terrain you want, anything like that. It's all your choice. Alright, so if you look at our scene here, you'll see we have our health bar, our thirst bar, and our hunger bar. The thirst bar and hunger bar are deteriorating slowly. You might see they look a little bit cubic, a little bit boring. That's just because I'm lazy and put no effort into it. So, if we go into this little red cube here, our health starts depleting, which is bad, because that means our character's dying. Well, if we go over to the apple or water, it will replenish either our thirst or our hunger. And you'll also see that if we sprint while our thirst is deteriorating, it'll start deteriorating faster because our character is becoming more tired as they run faster. Then after those deteriorate all the way down, I'll show you in a second. Okay, so our thirst is deteriorated, and you'll see our health start slowly going down. And it's going to go down before our hunger does, so I'll just say that the hunger will make it go faster if they're both down at the same time. So you'll see that when our health completely runs out, we'll be met with a screen that says Game Over. Alright, well with that said, let's get right into Unity! I promise, if you guys watch to the end of this video, I will never do that again. Alright, so you see all this work I did to figure out how this whole progress bar thing works? Yeah, we're just gonna go up here and delete everything that I did. Because what I do to figure everything out, that none of that really matters now, does it? Okay, so you're gonna start off with a completely blank scene, and the first thing you're gonna do is first add a 3D game object, and that will be our terrain. We're gonna use that to put our player on, to walk on. Let's go ahead and go to that paintbrush icon right there. And we're going to texture this. We're going to go to the edit textures, add textures. We're going to select a texture, and we're going to make this grass. But you could be your awesome funky hipster self and pick whatever kind of texture you want, but we're just going to use grass here. And don't ever let me say funky hipster again. Alright, so next go up to create, light, and directional light. This way we could actually see what's going on in our game. Let's move that up a little bit so that it's not under the ground. It doesn't really matter, but if you have things like lens flares, let's say, you'll need to look up at the light in order to see them. Okay, so next we're going to go into our standard assets and we're going to pull out a first-person controller. Now this comes with the Unity default assets. You're going to need to get this package in order to actually use these. That'll be in the characters folder, first person, prefabs, and then FPS controller. And we're going to drag that down to our scene and then pull it out of the ground so we don't fall through the terrain, because that'd be bad. And if you go into play mode, you'll see we have a fully functioning character that can look, move, walk, and sprint. Actually, no, from this point on, we're going to go over to the game tab and hit maximize on play so it goes full screen every time we go into play mode. Alright, so next thing, we're going to model our progress bars, and to do that, we're going to go to Create, UI, and Canvas. Our canvas is all the UI that shows up on our screen. So to do that, we're going to go right-click the canvas, UI, and Image. This is going to be our health bar. We're going to make this the border of our health bar, so we're going to scale it down to about the size you want our health bar to be. And then we're going to make it black. Move it up into the corner, and we're going to scale it down maybe just a tad bit more. Make it a little smaller, and we're going to move it up into the corner. After that, we're going to rename this Health Border, just so we can keep track of everything. And we're going to duplicate it. We're going to rename this Health Bar and turn it red. After that, shrink it down to fit into the black border. That's not exact, but it'll work for here. Then finally, you're going to duplicate Health Bar and rename it Health Empty. You're going to put this as a child of Health Bar. Go to Health Bar, add component, and then type in mask. Then change Health Empty to gray, or whatever color you want your empty health bar to be. Now what that mask did was make it so that when we move this Health Empty thing out of the health bar, it will not show up anywhere else. So we're going to try to move this exactly out of the way of the health bar. That's about as close as we're going to get. And just for organization's sake, I'm going to drag up health bar into health border. And one more thing we're going to do, and this is not necessary, but it helps us keep track, is we're going to go to UI, text, and put that into our health border. Rescale that so it's actually a correct size. Maybe up the font a little bit so we have a clearer picture. I usually go 200 and then scale the text box up so that it actually fits inside. And we are going to assign that as health. Alright, so now we have our health bar all modeled, and we're going to duplicate that and make it into our thirst and hunger bar. And to do that, we're just going to hit duplicate twice, and then move each of them down to where we want our other health bars, or should I say our thirst bars and hunger bars to be. We're going to rename everything accordingly, and I'll be back in a second. Alright, so now we have all of our progress bars labeled and colored and everything else. So one more thing I forgot to mention, we're going to go up to health border, thirst border, and hunger border, and we need to be sure to align their anchors. So this little thing right here that looks kind of like a cross, we're going to move that up into the top corner so it aligns with this whenever it moves. Also, go over to your canvas, where it says canvas scaler, put scale with screen size. That will shrink a little bit and you can rescale accordingly, but I think we're fine here. If you go into play mode, we'll have the same first person controller, but now we'll have health, thirst, and hunger bars lined up in the top left corner. Okay, so now the reason you probably came to this tutorial in the first place, how do we make these freaking things work? Well, we're gonna go down in order and first starting with the health bar. First, let's go down to our FPS controller, and around him, we're going to create a cube. Go to 3D game object and cube. We're going to move this into a good scale to where the player can fit inside of it, and we are going to make it red just to signify that it is in fact dangerous. Where it says box collider, we're going to check is trigger. This means that the player can walk inside of it and trigger a chain of events. In this cube, let's label damage. Okay, now the fun part, coding. Alright, so this right here is our health bar script. It is JavaScript, so go ahead and create a new JavaScript in your game, and we're going to label these variables. Health bar empty, which is a Unity engine.ui.image, a game over screen, which we'll go over in a second, full health, which is a float, half health, which is also a float, empty health, which is a float, and damage rate, which is a float. And we'll also have enter, which will be a boolean. So this will have if enter, which I'll explain in a second. If enter equals true, and if the health bar's X position is greater than empty health, so greater than what this is, then the health bar X position will decrease by 1. So this means the player is taking damage if the health bar is greater than empty. If the health bar is less than or equal to empty, then the game over screen equals true. That means when we're out of health, they will say game over. Now the question is, what is this enter? And what we're going to have down here is function on trigger enter other collider. If other.gameObject.tag equals damage, then enter equals true. So what this is saying is if you enter the trigger collider, then if that game object with the collider it has the tag damage, then enter will be true, which makes this true. And if you exit that collider, then enter will be false. I'll give you a moment to copy this down and then we'll get back to Unity. Alright, so now that we're back, we're going to drag the health bar script onto our FPS controller. And we are going to take our damage cube, go over to tags, and I already have one created to be damage. But if you don't have this already, go to add tag, and then you'll type your own here. So we're going to tag ours as damage. And let's go over to our FPS controller and see what we have to do with our health bar script. Alright, so here's all of our variables. So health bar empty, we're going to drag in our health empty UI image. For game over, we gotta create one. So let's go back to our canvas and create our game over screen. This won't actually lead to a player death. We're just kind of going over how to make the triggering when the player runs out of health. So you're gonna create a UI image, scale it to the screen size, and we're going to make this black. Inside of that, we're going to create a UI text, increase the font size. I usually, again, go about 200. Scale the text box to fit it. And we're going to type in game over. Make that red, easily visible. We're going to label this image game over. Go ahead and disable that as a game object and go back down to the player. Now back down to the health bar, we're going to drag that game over image into our game over game object. Alright, so now for our variables with the floats. So for full health, we're going to go over to where our health is completely full. Nothing's wrong with it. We're all fine and dandy. Let's go check it out. So easy for us, our position X for full health is exactly 100. So go us. Let's copy that down, go back over to our first person controller, and put that in for full health. We don't actually need half health. I think I added that in earlier just for something else and never ended up using it. So we're probably going to delete that in a second. But for empty health, let's scroll over to where our health bar is completely empty. This is going to be the point where you want your player to die after losing all their health, which for us will be 0. We scaled this perfectly, guys. I cannot be prouder. Alright, so we're going to set that to 0. Let's put it back to 100 for now, so we have full health when we start. And to set that, let's keep it 0. Damage rate, let's set that to maybe 2. We'll see what that does. Also, go into this script, and we're going to delete the variable half health. Alright, let's go ahead and test this. Alright, if we enter play mode, we'll have our health, thirst, and hunger bars, and our damage cube. If we step inside the cube, you will see we slowly, very so slowly, start deteriorating health. That might be a little too slow for us. Maybe we should increase that. Damage rate, I feel like we need to decrease the number, so let's go 0.2, and if that doesn't do anything, we're going to increase the number. I'm not entirely sure what this is at this point. So that looks a little better. It's going a little faster, but we're going to make it go even faster than that. Let's try 0.02. Alright, that's more like it. So our health's going to deteriorate that fast. Now let's step out. And if we go back in, let's watch it deteriorate all the way and see what happens with the game over screen. And there we have it. We have a game over. We ran out of health. So that's it for our health bar. We're done. Woo! Step 1 finished. Now to the thirst and hunger bars. Alright, so the first thing we're going to look at is our thirst bar script. Alright, so for our variables, we're going to have thirst bar empty, same as we had the health bar. Full thirst, empty thirst, thirst rate. We're going to have a health rate, our empty health stated again as a float, and health bar empty stated again for the UI image. Okay, so if we go over to update and have if thirst bar empty's X position is greater than empty thirst, so if it's not empty, then it will just gradually decrease. This is because our players getting thirsty as they move on and so forth. Alright, so here we have that if our thirst bar's X position is less than or equal to empty thirst, which means we're completely out of water, we're completely thirsty, we're dehydrated, and our health bar is greater than empty, so our health bar is not empty, then it will slowly start decreasing our health bar. So we'll have a little less health so on as we lose water. We're also going to restate this up here, that if the thirst bar is greater than empty, and you're sprinting, which the default button is left shift. We're going to restate this statement up here, down here. So if the thirst bar is empty, is greater than empty, which means it's not empty, and left shift and horizontal, or left shift and vertical are being held, which is the sprinting controls by default, then the thirst bar will also subtract 1. But adding this one, that will be minus 0.2, so it'll be depleting twice as fast while sprinting. Go ahead and save that and head on back to Unity. We're going to take that script and drag it onto our FPS controller. Okay, so let's fill in our variables here. First we have thirst bar empty, which we already have labeled as thirst empty in our canvas, so let's drag that in. Full thirst, if you copied and pasted from the health bar, it'll be the exact same values, but if not, you'll have to go and copy and paste them again. Half thirst, oh, wait. Alright, I was wrong. Let's go in and let's delete that. Why can't I just get things right? I'm not smart. Alright, so empty thirst will remain 0, and thirst rate, we're going to put that as also 0.02. That seems to work. Health rate is also 0.02. And empty health is also 0. We're going to put health bar empty as our health bar down here. Okay, now if we go into play mode, we'll have our thirst bar depleting. And if our thirst bar completely depletes, then we will start losing health. You'll see that our thirst bar depletes faster while sprinting, and then not as fast while we're not sprinting. Now that our thirst has run out, health is depleting really fast. Let's look into that. Our health rate, we're going to put that as 0.02 because that was pretty fast. That should work here. So that is our thirst bar completed for the most part. We'll get back to that later. But let's go on to our hunger bar. We're going to start with hungerbar.js. Alright, so here we have our hunger bar script, which I'm not going to go over in much detail because it's pretty much the exact same thing as thirst bar, except that we have renamed all of our variables to match hunger instead of thirst, and we've gotten rid of the sprinting thing. So I'll just let you go over this, look through it, and then we're going back to Unity. Okay, so as we did for the other ones, we're going to drag hunger bar into our FPS controller and go and assign all our variables. Hunger bar empty, we're going to assign hunger empty. Full will be 100 again. Gotta get rid of that half hunger. I don't know why I have that in there, but we do. Why can't I just remember to do stuff the first time? I don't know. Why can't I? I don't know. Let's go back. Okay, empty hunger is gonna stay 0. Hunger rate, we're gonna make this go a tad bit faster than the thirst bar, just because the thirst bar also depletes really fast when we sprint. Health rate will be 0.2 as well as it was up here. Empty health is 0, and health bar empty will be assigned the same thing. If we go into play mode, we'll have the exact same thing as the thirst bar, except it will be on the hunger bar and goes a little bit faster. You'll see both our hunger and thirst are about to be completely depleted, which means our health is going to deteriorate really fast because we are very low on everything. So let's head back, and we're going to learn about health, well not health, but hunger and thirst pickups. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create 2 tables, which I have in my assets, which I'll leave links down to, because we need our assets for this, because I'm too lazy to model my own stuff. Alright, now that we have our tables, we're going to go back to our assets and put on a bottle, which will be our thirst pickup, and an apple, which will be our hunger pickup. Alright, so after that, we're going to put a box collider on both of them. The water bottle already has one, the asset we got. So let's increase that so the player can walk into it. First, we're going to check is trigger so the player can trigger events with it, and then resize it so the player can actually walk into it. Alright, this will be the area we can pick up the water bottle from. Let's add the same thing to the apple. Alright, and there's our apple collider. We also need to make sure it's marked as is trigger. And now we're going to check out our pickup script. This one's pretty simple. So for our variables, we have our item, which is either the apple or the water bottle, and it's set as a game object. Our UI, which is a UI graphic, that's going to be a thing that says press E to pick up blank. We're also going to have our progress bar that it'll change. So over here we have if enter equals true, then the UI color will equal white. That means that the color of the UI image that we pick to be our press E to blank will become white. And if it's false, that will be clear. If you enter and press the E key, which will be our interacting key, then that item will disappear. The UI will be completely clear forever, and the progress bar will go plus 50. We also need our function on trigger enter and on trigger exit down at the bottom so we can tell when we're actually in the radius to actually pick up the objects. Go up here and hit save, and we're going to go back to Unity. Alright, so let's start with our water bottle. We're going to drag pickup over to it and assign our variables. So bottle is item, and progress bar will be our thirst empty. But now we need to make our UI, which we're going to do that. We're going to go to our canvas, and we're going to create a UI text. So let's go ahead and do that. Right click, UI, and text. Increase our font size so our letters aren't all blurry. Increase the box. Line it up in the center. 0, 0. We're going to make that white. And we're going to mark it as press E to pick up bottle. I know it's a little lengthy, but for this tutorial we don't exactly need good gameplay elements, now do we? Well, that's kind of what we're trying to teach here, but we don't need to make it super accurate to an actual game, okay? We're doing a tutorial, we're learning programming, okay? We got this, we're good. Alright, and by default we're going to have the color set as clear. So go down to the color, and right here where it has A, we're going to decrease that all the way so it's completely clear. We're going to rename that bottle command. Well, that sounds like it could be like a really bad 90s sitcom, or like an action movie. Someone please make a theme song of that. Bottle command. Please, make it happen. Okay, so back to our water bottle. Let's assign its variable UI as bottle command. Let's go do the exact same thing for the apple. We're going to drag in our pickup. Assign its item as the apple. UI will create that in a second, and progress bar will be hunger, so hunger empty. Let's go up and make our UI on our canvas. So we're going to duplicate bottle command, rename it apple command. That's the spin-off series to bottle command, by the way. And we're going to change that from press E to pick up bottle to press E to pick up apple. Go back down to our our apple, and assign that as the UI. Also, one last thing, and this is important, go over to your first person controller, and we need to make sure it is tagged as a player. If it's not, then this will not work with the pickups. Alright, and that is it for our health bar slash hunger bar slash thirst bar thing with the pickups. But just in case, let's go ahead and check it. Alright, so let's walk over to our water bottle, and as soon as we walk over to it, it'll say press E to pick up bottle. We'll press E, it'll disappear, and our thirst is replenished. Let's go over to hunger, it'll say press E to pick up apple. Press E, it refills it, plus 50. Go into the box, and our health depletes. If our hunger depletes all of the way, then our health will start deteriorating. And if we sprint, thirst goes faster, and health deteriorates faster. If our health runs out completely, then we're greeted with a game over screen. And that, my friends, is how you make progress bars in Unity. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to smash that like button down below and spread the word to all your friends about the Unity 5 development fun that we're doing here. I really need to stop doing this. Also, if you use this tutorial to help in your own games or projects, I would really love to see that. So if there's some way you could link the game or screenshots or anything down below, I would love to see how you implemented this. But hey, with that said, I'll show you guys in the next video. See you later and happy developing.